Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 vs 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be Zozo. Sort of up and coming Protoss bot, although it's been around for a decent amount of time, I believe. Taking on none other than BenBotBC, the BC standing for Battle Cruiser, one of the better late game Terran bots out there. And so we're gonna see how well BenBot and Zozo do against each other, because they've got very distinct styles. BenBot playing the late game, playing it safe for the most part, whereas Zozo is pretty much just win with gateway units and a push late. So we'll see if Zozo's able to break through BenBot's generally rock-hard defenses. So it's going to be an interesting one. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this, though, go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. If we can hit 25 likes on this video, that would be amazing. And you guys always blow it out of the water, so you're the best. Leave a comment down below saying more bots, or the first thing that comes to your mind, whether it be potatoes or just more Starcraft. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, let's see how these two are going to go against each other. BenBot seems to open up with a bunker rush in most of its games. I haven't seen it do a different build for a while, I don't believe. And that's because this is a very effective build. It kills just lower level bots all the time, I believe, as it requires quite a specific response. Zozo does pull many probes off the line to deal with this SCV building that. So we're going to have BenBot saying bunker rush retry, bunker rush resume, and that is going to be canceled. So BenBot is sending out another SCV across the map. It's an interesting build from BenBot because it requires such little commitment from the Terran player. Like, all you do is build your first racks on the other side of the map. You build a bunker, but you can always cancel it. And so nothing too crazy at all. And so I do kind of wish that BenBot would bring a second SCV across the map to try and build a second bunker, because if it had started building another bunker now, right after that other one got canceled and sort of preemptively sent the second SCV across the map, then I think it would have done much better for itself. Now we do have a probe coming down the ramp, and another bunker is building. Marines are skirmishing with this Stalker, though. They're not exactly grouping up against it. They're just going to kill a probe, maybe kill the pylon, but this Stalker should be able to clean all this up. Marines are kiting back against the probe. The bunker is very close to finishing up, though. This could cause a hiccup for Zozo. That pylon got so darn low, but it's not going to be getting killed off, though, which is a bit unfortunate. However, with a bunker, with an SCV, I think BenBot does have a bit of this contain off. But yeah, I think if you were to look for an improvement in this build from BenBot, it would be to try and get the replacement bunker up a little bit sooner by sort of preemptively sending another SCV across the map. Behind this, though, BenBot does have its command center on the way. It is important to note, though, that it didn't delay the Nexus for Zozo at all. So things are pretty much going to plan as far as Zozo is concerned, ignoring the bunker outside of its base, which it doesn't even know is there yet. However, there's plenty of Stalkers and a battery to actually heal them up. So this bunker may actually not be long for this world. A fourth Marine piles on inside of that, so it's going to be spitting out quite a bit of damage. However, there's that battery, so that heals up the Stalkers quite a bit. The bunker's really being worked on. A tank rolls on up. Is it too late, though? It's actually just going to engage Unsiege and then start to fight these Stalkers as it sieges up. That is going to be able to pop off quite a few of these Stalkers, if not all of them. Only one Marine remains, but the tank is problematic for Zozo. So well done, Siege Tank, as it shoots a Stalker. The Stalker's going to get a shot off on it, but then promptly die. An Immortal is on the way. It is unfortunate for BenBot that that bunker was killed before the tank arrived, as this is such a lethal build by BenBot against bots that don't deal with it well. It's kind of middle of the road right now because it's not really harassing the natural base, but it is killing off a good amount of Stalkers. Behind this, BenBot's command center is done at the natural. It's going to have free reign to take a third whenever it wishes. And yeah, this tank is just hanging out for now. However, it does shoot that Immortal, and it may have signed its death warrant, but Zozo's programming is Leaving it a little bit exposed. The Immortal takes more shots than it should, but it does end up killing off that tank, and so that's good to see. But yeah, Zozo kind of wanted to home its units, it seems, which did leave them vulnerable to extra shots from the tank. We saw them move out, take a shot, and then be like, then Zozo's programming was like, no, pull that back. That's got to hang out at the natural. So I'm not sure how you'd really resolve that as a bot author, because you don't want your units just pathing across the map with the default Starcraft AI all the time. So it is a little bit tricky. Anyway, Zozo is now going to be moving across the map, looking to bring the heat to BenBot. Of course, it did lose a lot of stalkers in the early game, so its army count may not be as high as it usually is. There is 2 bunkers, a Widow Mine, and a tank at the natural for BenBot, so Zozo may have a hard time breaking or getting remotely into this location as the tank shoots. SCVs are pulled off the line to repair the bunker, and yeah, Zozo is not gaining any ground. We do have a third on the way for both of these bots, though, as they really commit to macro. And I did see in a previous match that Zozo actually did transition into, I believe it was Tempest, I want to say. So maybe Zozo will just go for that again, and it might not be as up a creek without a paddle against BenBot in the late game than it was previously. I still think that the longer this game goes on, the better it will be for BenBot, though. The Terran bot is getting out Marines and Marauders, making combat shield, even getting out a Viking, which could help against the Prism. The 2 Marauders are hanging out, but the tank really is the defender of this base. Zozo's not going to get anywhere near this, as siege tanks are just so difficult to program around, even as human players. Like, if you play against a Terran on ladder, I bet anyone who's played a decent amount of StarCraft has absolutely run into a tank line thinking they could break it and then not be able to. So how do you go about programming that into a bot when it's always so difficult to tell? Okay, so BenBot does get up its third base. It's got that turret building, a Liberator hugging the command center. We'll see if this becomes a planetary before Zozo potentially finds it, if Zozo does at all. However, Zozo just tries to make it up that ramp, and that does not work at all. And so BenBot is having some good success. The Viking is now chasing down the Prism, but Stalker's escorted away. The problem is, though, there's still 2 tanks set up that are just going to massacre the units of Zozo. And so BenBot is just getting free kill after free kill. The Immortals are staying alive for now, but I mean, even the Immortals can only take so many tank shots. It's been a long time since there's been Heart of the Swarm Immortals, which were basically unkillable by tanks, because they took something like, I don't know, it was probably like close to 25 tank shots or something to kill them off. It was just ridiculous. I don't know, maybe that's an overstatement, but I believe, off the top of my head, the old Immortals, they used to basically have a max amount of damage they could take in a single shot, which was like, okay, it was 10 damage a shot, I believe, and they have 100 shield, not 200. So I think it was more like 15 shots from a tank to kill an Immortal, which was very, very high. Now Zozo's going to try its luck once again, but it's not really luck. It's more just suicide of its units. So then it pulls away, finds a random Widow Mine out on the map. If it decided to push BenBot's third, this would be much, much better for it. That's simply not the case, though. This bot is programmed to attack in a fairly straightforward fashion, and it's not having success against BenBot here. Zozo, though, does have up that 4th Nexus, so it's got the economy to support these suicidal wave attacks. There's also a Stargate on the way, which is cool to see. It's getting +1 attack, and Blink on the way. So Zozo playing for a bit more of the late game than it would in the past, which is cool to see. I still think it's going to have a very difficult time breaking BenBot, if ever. The hope will be to deny BenBot's third base, and it does know where the third is for BenBot, so now maybe Zozo will choose to attack a different location. However, a battlecruiser now teleports into the main base. Stalkers are responding for Zozo, though. There is +1 attack on them, which is going to help out against this battlecruiser. No battery in the main to help defend against this, but Zozo does drive this battlecruiser away to the backside of the map, where it will wait to come off teleport cooldown, and then, yeah, unfortunately, Zozo is trying to push on into this natural once more instead of going for the third, which isn't defended by as much stuff. And so Zozo just keeps throwing its stuff away. It's now going into a single Phoenix. I'm not sure how well that will do. There is a fleet beacon on the way, though, so maybe it's going to be Tempest behind this. Lots of Stalkers are being produced still. Blink is on the way, which could help out a little bit. If BenBot ever moves out, the trades will definitely be a little bit different without that tank cover. And Zozo gets a 5th base on the way, so it's been taking horrible trades this game. 31 dead Stalkers, 5 dead Immortals. Most of the stuff it killed of BenBot was stuff in the initial bunker rush. Everything else, not so much. Some more Stalkers are just going to die. BenBot's stimming down the ramp. We do have a Tempest now on the way, though, for Zozo, which will definitely help out against these battle cruisers, as these Phoenix are not going to cut it. I'm curious if we'll get more Stargates on the way for Zozo or not, or if it's just going to be a single Stargate making Tempest slowly, which would be an interesting approach. Phoenix are flying around for the Protoss bot. BenBot is securing up its 4th base. So things are looking a little bit poor for Zozo, as BenBot is ahead on supply. It's building into that scary late-game Terran composition that it does so well with. However, if there's an engagement in the middle of the map, the Stalkers will do much better for themselves. There's a BC, though, in the mix, which is problematic still, though. Plenty of Stalkers to help try and fight against this. So the ground army of BenBot is kind of being shredded. The Tempest, just a single Tempest, is now here. I'm not sure how much that is going to accomplish, but who knows, as, I mean, the Vikings or something are going to have to come out to deal with this. So the Tempest getting some free shots off, but it is actually getting chased away by just a handful of Marines. 5th base is up and established for Zozo, but now a Hellion's harassing it. The single Tempest is being escorted away, and it seems, yeah, that Zozo has just been interested in making one Tempest, nothing else. It's now getting out a bunch more Blink Stalkers. Getting +2 attack on them will definitely help them deal more damage, to deal with these BCs easier. There's the problem, though. Yamato Cannon gonna delete that single Tempest. We've got Anion Pulse Crystals going down to help out with the Phoenix, but I'm not sure that that's the tech that Zozo really wants. It's trying to build a gateway in its mineral line. The Protoss bot, though, does have quite the force for now, but yeah, these Phoenix, I mean, they're chasing down the Raven, which is actually quite cool, so that's a nice pick-off. This 5th Nexus isn't mining at all for Zozo. There's another one that's being established, though. 66 workers lock for the Protoss bot, whereas BenBot is now on 5 bases, 87 workers, so a much higher income, and it will be able to start spitting out units pretty darn soon once it's got all of its production up. It's really getting to that point where it's got a lot of money to make a lot of stuff, and the battlecruiser count is growing. The Stalkers are going to have a hard time engaging against them when their numbers are so small. The tank and planetary are shooting away on the Stalkers. They're blinking all over the place. Zozo does seem to have hit a bit of a wall against BenBot. Still, though, the Protoss bot has got multiple bases up, but yeah, Phoenix being produced instead of Tempest, I think, is quite problematic here. And I don't know why that is. Like, it produced 1. Maybe that's just like a Tempest to help get... Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the single Tempest's purpose was. I don't know why it's building Phoenix, if that's a reaction to something or not, or just what the bot's doing, but hey, at least it's not just building just Stalkers, which, I mean, this is a lot of Stalkers that are coming on in. We'll see if they're able to get anything done. They do blink forward en masse. If they get the tank, that would be big. They do not, though, and they're going to shoot down some SCVs, but this is going to be a lot of dead Stalkers against that tank shooting away. The Prism's microing them back. They've also got Blink to micro back. This one Hellion is still working away on this Nexus, as Zozo doesn't seem to want to really do anything about that. More battlecruisers are being produced for BenBot, and I mean, Stalkers aren't the worst thing in the world against battlecruisers, but unless you micro them very well, the BCs will just get damage done then teleport out, and that's kind of what we're going to be seeing here. Damage gets done, the battlecruiser teleports out to be healed up, and yeah, we're seeing exactly that. The Stalkers do blink under the BC. They almost get that one, but not quite, unfortunately for Zozo. Zozo does have an observer in part of its army too. There's so many Stalkers. That's the thing. I'm not used to seeing the Protoss bot just suicide in this many units, but then still have the economy it needs to back this up. And that tank is still alive. The Stalkers are shooting down most of the SCVs, repairing the planetary. If Zozo gets this planetary, that would just be ridiculous. But it's getting rather injured. If the Immortals got on it, I think it would definitely go down. All the SCVs that are targeting it have been killed off. And yeah, the planetary actually dies, which is not something I expected to see at this point. The problem is for Zozo, that cost a lot of resources, and there's more bases up for BenBot. So Zozo may be better off going home for a little bit. There is at least +3 attack on the way for the Protoss bot, so those Stalkers will continue to deal damage. 2 Immortals getting chased down by BCs, though, isn't ideal, and the battlecruiser count has been growing amidst all this chaos. There's currently 9 BCs out for BenBot. The Terran bot is spending so much money on upgrades and stuff, though, that it doesn't actually have that big of a bank. Still, though, all these BCs are now engaging a rather small amount of Stalkers comparatively, so that's not going to be a good trade for Zozo. And yeah, great trades for BenBot now. And the Stalkers, they're doing what they can, but it's just injured battlecruiser teleports on out. Injured battlecruiser teleports on out. SCVs are dying. BenBot will have to replace those. But yeah, there's not a lot of damage being done. Otherwise, Stalkers are moving forward. Even some Zealots being added into the mix for Zozo, which is interesting. The fact that it chose to randomly do that. The Stalkers are still coming forward, though, hitting this planetary fortress. Gonna be killing off all the SCVs, and then the planetary may even die. The Stalkers don't have +3 attack just yet, but they deal quite a bit of damage still. A single battlecruiser make that 3 battlecruisers are coming in to try and respond to this. The planetary is taking damage as time goes on. BenBot moves out with all of its tanks, though, to try and shut this down, and that is looking pretty darn good, as 4 siege tanks are one way to deal with Stalkers. So Zozo's attack, I mean, it got close to killing off that planetary, but that's how planetaries work. If you don't kill them off, you just wasted a ton of resources for nothing. And that's what we've seen out of Zozo right now. BenBot has seemingly had enough and is going to be going for blood. The Stalkers for Zozo are moving around the map, but BenBot is flying with that fleet. The Hellion is still killing this Nexus. We'll see if this Hellion is able to actually kill that off. Zozo seems to have just lost interest in that base. In come the Stalkers once more, though. They are going to find this planetary fortress and start working away on that. All the battlecruisers for BenBot do elect just to blink on top of this base, to teleport on top of it, even though it wasn't that far of a distance. But hey, why fly when you can teleport, I suppose? And looks like that planetary is close to going down, although a few hero SCVs do come on in to repair it up. Zozo is having a bit of a hard time here, as it's just fallen down on supply. There's really no answer to the battle cruisers at this point. It went better than I thought it would for Zozo as the game progressed on, even getting that planetary fortress, but BenBot was it was grown up by that time. It could afford to take the losses. And who knows, maybe Zozo will still get this planetary. +3 Stalkers deal a fair bit of damage. However, in comes some BCs to save the day, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do. I do like the targeting on the SCVs by Zozo. It's pretty smart programming. The problem is, though, BenBot did just kill one of Zozo's critical bases. There's a Hellion. I mean, this Hellion, it's being driven off the Nexus by angry probes, but really it can just kill all of these probes if it wishes. BenBot is on 200 supply against the 90 supply of Zozo. I just heard a battlecruiser teleport. Yeah, injured BC heading on home. Did a single BC die this game? No, it did not, which goes to show where BenBot really gets its efficiency. This planetary has been fully repaired, which is not good for Zozo. And yeah, Zozo's just constantly fighting with a tiny, tiny army supply against units that will not die. And so, yeah, it's kind of just destined to lose at this point. 40,000 resources lost to 13,000. That's some darn good efficiency for BenBot. I was kind of wondering if Zozo was going to be able to catch BenBot off guard and win the game. And I guess spoilers alert that I did look at some shorter replays before this. Not intentionally, but I saw... every now and then when I go to cast a replay, I'll accidentally see the result, because I literally just put my hand in front of the monitor, so I don't know which bot wins the match. And so the first couple BenBot versus Zozo games, I accidentally saw the loss thing, and I'm like, okay, go to the next one that's a decent length. And turns out that unsurprisingly, BenBot won the game that went longer, whereas based on the results that I saw, Zozo did seem to win the shorter ones. So maybe we'll have to cast some of those soon enough. But BenBot is going to be just obliterating the few stalkers with the fleet. Zozo isn't quite equipped to deal with this many battle cruisers with late game Terran. I mean, the stalkers weren't terrible against the BCs. I really do think it was just the presence of tanks that caused a lot of the pain for Zozo in the early game and whatnot. All in all, though, a very cool game. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this one, go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. Join the Discord, which is linked down below, and leave a comment saying more bots if you want to see more of these bot matches. I certainly enjoy casting them. And a big thanks to everyone that does support the channel, as the links for that are in the description to become a YouTube member, or there is a PayPal link down below. Big thanks to everyone that does do that. And yeah, if you want to see more BenBot, let me know, or cast more matches between BenBot and Zozo. But yeah, all in all, well done by BenBot. Its defensive strategy really does capitalize on certain bots just not being able to handle a siege tank or two, just with extreme defense, and just really letting the enemy feed into it. That's exactly what BenBot did for, I don't know, the first 15 minutes of this game, and then it won off the back of it. And that is the impressive thing. I did like Zozo's targeting of the SCVs. It did actually allow it to kill off that planetary, which is quite impressive. It did better than I thought. Maybe we'll see Zozo get a bit more late game development where it will actually maybe build more Tempest. I'm really curious why it just built one Tempest and then went into Phoenix. Whether that was just like just whatever it's programmed to do. Maybe the bot authors haven't fully flushed it out. Maybe it's just yeah, I do not know. But anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning on in.